You travelled back to Victorian London, you wouldn't see the city first. You'd smell it. Civilization had actually gone backward. The Romans had working aqueducts and sewage systems here thousands of years earlier. But the Victorians, they turned the River Thames into an open sewer. It was thick, brown, and smelled like death. It gets worse. Doctors had no idea about germs or infection. They washed their rusty sores in that same sewage water and wore blood-soaked aprons like badges of honor. And their medicine? They were literally eating people. It was called corpse medicine, grinding up Egyptian mummies to cure headaches. They were cannibals in top hats. Now compare that to the Aztecs. Their capital was spotless. They employed 1,000 public workers just to sweep the streets every single day. The emperor bathed twice a day, while a Victorian gentleman was lucky if he bathed twice a year. And their surgery? No rusty saws. They used obsidian blades, volcanic glass so sharp it cuts at a molecular level, cleaner than modern steel. They didn't have microscopes, but they knew dirt meant death, so they used herbal antibiotics and clean water to stop infection. And remember the date, 1519. That is 3 centuries before the Victorians. So while the Aztec emperor was sipping crystal clear spring water, your civilized London gentleman was drinking straight from the River Thames, which, let's be honest, was basically shit. So ask yourself, who was really the savage?
The more we be in this world and the end is not come yet, the more we learn. First of all, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Salutations to all the brothers and the few sisters out there. Unto his like foreigners from the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Shalom in the Hebrew, which means peace. This is vile. This is disgusting. This is historic. And even today, we claim to be clean, but what's given to us when we have a water system that's clearly intoxicated with plenty of things that's not good for us, and then they have the nerve to have tanks where they clean sewage and to reuse it. It's not that far-fetched to say we are truly in an ass-backward society. All right? This is what happens when you have a certain people that's in position of power and they can't think nothing on their own. Because when they went to South America, they call it, but they said those people were savages and they had aqueducts already. They had a clean system. They were naturally clean and so forth. But here it is, these people, when they came to this side, they were nothing but savages. And historically, they said, when somebody did the count, I forgot who explained it. They said there was a couple million people in Hispaniola, what they call Hispaniola, Dominican Republic / Haiti. Within not even a couple of years, no, they said, so Christopher Columbus went back to Spain. By the time he came back, there were less people. Why? Because it was eating the people. It was killing them and eating them. So these people are nothing but savage. They ass backwards. And what's happening right now, we're relearning how to conduct ourselves properly. This is why a lot of people are into herbs and things to clean your gut and things of that nature, which those people back then, they knew naturally. All right, we're just now learning this again. Real quick, because I read this verse is ill. St. John 10:10. The thief purpose is to steal and to kill and destroy. So who's a thief? Esau. What was his purpose? Obviously, to steal what? Steal land, steal um, gold, silver. All right, steal people, and to kill. And how did he get his position that he has? He killed. All right, he didn't vote his way to the lands of America. All right, South America, the Caribbean islands, South Africa, Australia. No, 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 no. They didn't do none of that. They killed. All right, and they destroyed. Part of this makeup of relearning history is the fact that they destroy the history. They destroy the facts, which is the truth. All right, that they are really the savages that they speak of. They're the real savages of history. And if you go not that far in European history, we had they called the wild men. The wild men were them, all right, that were uncivilized, okay, hairy, stealing, killing, doing whatever it takes. It's not to survive because they didn't know no better. They didn't know how to speak. They didn't have no languages. They had to be taught. But yet we're being told that we're the savages. We're evil. But now the world sees you. The world sees you. The world sees the lies. They see right through you. Even how you conduct yourself in your um, kingdom. Prime example. Those couple of celebs, Ashton Kushner. Isn't he married to that chick? Yeah, yeah. That chick that played in the '70s show. All right. She played in also the Book of Eli. So outwardly, when I first saw the chick, I thought like, oh shit, they had a Puerto Rican chick in there. But she's not Puerto Rican. She's a small hatter. And these two individuals, these celebrities, these stars, okay, went up. I forgot what talk show they went to because they have children together. They're together, right? And they talk about how their children don't bathe every day. And like, huh? The only time they clean their children is when they see dirt on them. So I was like, wait a minute. Here you are a celebrity. The world is an oyster. And this is how you think. But the thing is with that is people worship these savages and they themselves know that how nasty and dirty they are. Right? These are nasty, dirty people. So what they did was they erased our history to make us look like we're savages, to make us look like we're vile, all right? And they're the ones that are doing the same thing. The whole thing that's going on with the hell Epstein list, and the Epstein list is what them doing to their own people, what they're doing to children, the quote unquote innocent children, all right? And not only are they molesting these children, they're also devouring these people. So who's a real savage? But it's like so the thief cometh. The thief purpose is to steal and to kill and to destroy. My purpose is to give them a rich and satisfying life. The rich and satisfying life is through the Lord, right? That was what the Lord promised for His people. Why? Because what His people is going through right now. Real quick, let's see if I can remember. Matthew's 18. Yes, 18, 27. The last verse, actually. It says, actually, it's not. Not which Slovakia. 20. I haven't read it in a while. I could quote it, but I don't want to. There it is. It says Matthew 19 and 30. But many that many that are first shall be last, and the last shall be first. Who came out first? Esau. And what was his status? His status is to be the last, even though he was a firstborn. All right. Second Ezra 6:7. It says, Then answered I and said, What shall be the parting sunder of the times, and when shall be the end of the first, and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, From Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, of whom Isaac. Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So, according to the prophecy, the first shall be last, and the last shall be first. And the first so happens to be Esau. Romans 9:11. For the children being not yet born, neither have done any good or evil, that the purpose of the Most High, according to election, the meaning what? Chosen, according to the Lord's his choice. I'll put it that way. So the Lord's choice might stand, not of works, but of him that calleth. And who's a him that calleth? I'm starting to see if they got something good right here on NLT. But before they were born, both they had done anything good or bad. She received message from the Most High. This message shows that the Most High chose people according to His own purposes. Nice. And it says NLT again. It says he calls people, but not according to their good or bad works. She was told, your oldest son shall serve your youngest son. And in the scripture, in the words of the scripture, I love Jacob, but I rejected Esau. Okay, now they went off. I'm gonna read that in the proper way. As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. So when the Lord said he hated Esau, he took him out of his way. Part of that was what? That he was going to be in a beastly like state. Okay? Why did Job made a statement in the 30th chapter? Matter of fact, let me get that. Let me hold that. See, when this is why what's the word? Be prejudiced, right? Let me see something. I'm gonna do this. Prejudice. The preconceived opinion that is not based on reason or actual experience. Second one, harm or injury that uh, may result for some action and or judgment. Give reason to prejudice in someone make uh, base. Okay, cause harm. All right, so let me see what this says. Let's look up the word origin for that one. It says the word prejudice originates from the Latin. Well, I don't know how to say that, which breaks down into before in advance of judgment. It literally means prejudgment. Okay, there you go. Prejudgment, or a judgment formed before examining the facts. It is historically applied damage or harm caused by a judgment. So before you make the final judgment of a fact, you already have in mind what it is. So what is a how can I say it? Okay, you have reputation, people that have certain type of reputation, or a stigma on them, okay, or slander on them. So what caused that? Let's go into it real quick. I think I know where I'm going with this. Revelation 12 and is it 10? It says no. Oh yeah, it is 10. It says, I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our power and the power of his anointed, for the accuser of our brethren is cast down. So the key word is what? The accusers. Accuser says before a judge to make an accusation of extrajudicial accusations. So you could say extra prejudice. Okay. So they built up a lie. All right. They put a stigma on Jake. I didn't want to say nothing, but okay. I saw something this morning that really pissed me off. This Haitian bitch goes into a podcast and call another Jake a dirty black. Was it dirty black American? That's what she said. She kept saying it. I don't want to play it because that shit pissed me off. And as I'm watching it, pisses me off. Where the balls that this bitch has to say something like that, and then they try to talk her, they talk her down. But listen, I'm a Levite, bro. If any of my people say some stupid shit like that, I'm gonna check them. That's one thing. This problem with Jake. Jake has when they see each other, they have a certain stigma about each other, a certain prejudice towards one another. But the prejudice that you're supposed to have is towards the enemy. Okay, you're supposed to have why? Because the enemy, you're not prejudging anything. You're judging. You protecting your means. You're protecting your mind. All right. Prime example. Boom. Sirach 12 and 10. It says, never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself, go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And that shall be unto him as if thou hast wiped away the looking glass. And thou shalt know that his rust have not been altogether wiped away. So you already prejudge the person, okay? And then you find out that they have not changed. So the scriptures tell you to keep your guard up. So when Job made a statement about a particular people, Job 30, he was stating the fact. All right, he was stating the truth. But when Esau tells the story, his history, all right, he builds up a lie. Real quick, Job 30 and 1, and tell me who this reminds you of. But now they that are younger than I have me in derision, whose fathers I would not have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock. And why Job said that for? Because they will commit something that we all heard of, which the scriptures talks about, which is bestiality. All right? They will commit bestiality. And there's plenty of evidence out there of these sexual deprived individuals. They're not even like they're just um they're just demons, man. What they would do and whom they would do it to. Okay? That is out there. That's part of the characteristics. So when we go out there and say certain things about these people, we're not being prejudiced or any. We're stating facts. While they, on the other hand, they lie. And that video primarily showed that the lies that we was taught. That's why they call Gad, Reuben, Issachar, Simeon, Ephraim, okay, Naphtali, Asher, all the tribes that was on this side. What did they call them? What did they label them? They labeled them as savages, Indians. But they themselves are savages. Like I'm gonna say, I'm gonna keep reading. It says, "Yeah, whereto might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was perished. For want and famine they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness in the former time desolate and waste, who cut up mellows by the bushes, and the juniper roots for their meat. They would just eat whatever they could find. Any berries that was not fully ripe, they would eat it. All right, they would do whatever it takes. They were savages, and Job was going through a bad situation. He was going through hell, and he's telling us, like, although I'm going through hell, these people always been in this condition. You know, it says, verse 5, they were driven forth from among men, and that proves right there. There's a I want to say a disconnect. That proves like there's a connection. That's what I wanted to say. There's a connection. So if somebody's driven from other people, I mean, nobody wants them around. That's a clear cut sign because that goes back into that curse that the Lord put upon Cain, right? A fugitive and a vagabond. When you look up the word, was it vagabond? It means wanderer, a nomad. So people that are not forced out, but being cast out. Okay, why? Because wherever they go, things go missing. You already have people have relatives that they have, and you know, like, oh shit, this mother effer is here. I gotta make sure I hide my stuff because I know this guy got sticky fingers. When something goes missing, you already know who did it. That's that's what happening. So here it is. You have a people that didn't have a language for themselves. All right, they were just wild. They were wild men. Okay, they was driven from men. Who's the men they was driven from? The darker races who had culture, who had language. Okay, they said that in was it Spain? They found those people just like that, just like a bunch of savages. They cleaned them up. They took care of them. Matter of fact, let me see. I think I had the video. No, actually, I didn't have the video. It was something else that somebody put up because AI Jake out there trying to push the Moorish doctrine more, but there was some points in there that was true. Moor just means black, by the way. All right, the fact that they found these people who were like savages, who were like in a beastly state. All right, they cleaned them up. They showed them how to take a bath, even though obviously they didn't. That little thing showed you that they didn't know how to do it. All right, and that's them in the prime of their life, not realizing you have shit water and you have clean water. Okay, why do you think they needed? Why do you think Europe is called the bottomless pit? All right, because nothing grows there. Wherever these people go, nothing grows in a prime. Um, Nothing grows properly. All right, let's go back to Cain again. That's the spirit of Cain. That's the curse of Cain. All right, that the earth shall not give us strength. So Europe is the bottomless pit, especially after these people ransacked it. And then all of a sudden, on this side, it becoming a bottomless pit. How it is it America, the United States of America, is more into importing items from other countries instead of exporting. But as I digress, it says they were driven so they was driven from forth from among men. They cried after them as after a thief. So that right there showed you the characteristics of these people. This is their natural state. They go out to what? To steal and to kill and to destroy. That's what the Lord said. And the Lord was giving us a clue exactly who these people are. And we know who these people are. Know them by name. They're Esau, Edomites. They dwelt in the clefts of the valleys and caves of the earth and the rocks, which goes back to the what? The modern day term of, let me see if the Google will say, do I have to um, look up the word Caucasian etymology. It said, of course, I'm going to say the Caucasus Mountain. I'm not surprised. I wanted to see if they was going to actually admit that pertaining the Caucasus Mountains applied to the white race by German anthropologist John Friedrich Bottomless, who, in his pioneer treatise in anthropology, distinguished mankind in 5 races. Mongoloid, this is their own shit that they made up. Ethiopia, Malay American, Native American, and Caucasian in the last group. And this is what to this day they follow. When the Lord made 18 nations, all right, some nations may look alike, but they are a whole nother tribe. They are a whole nother people. Okay, but this clown right here. Oh, this is the guy I got to do a show on. Oh, the Wadi Habashun. This is the clown that gave us all these weird things, and everybody else is just in between. This is where racism truly come from. Well, not really. Can't say where it come from, but this is where um the modern day way of saying things it does come from. This is in the Caucasus. In the last group, he included nearly all Europeans except Lapis and Finns, Armenians, Persians, and Hinduists, as well as Arabs and Jews. His attempt at the division was based on the physical similarities in the skulls. So they did a scientific thing. So the term Caucasian, which just narrowed down to right here, it says it, residents or native of the Caucasus, sea Caucasus, meaning one of the white race, is from. So even without saying cave dwellers, when you associate Caucasus or Caucasian, it automatically goes to whom? Quote unquote white people. So here it is, it tell you right here in Job, it says, verse 6, Job 30 and 6, it says, to dwell in the cliffs of the valleys, in the caves of the earth, Caucasus, right? But they didn't come from the Caucasus mountain. They came from Petra, Mount Seir, okay? Another mountain region area. This is in the rocks. Among the bushes they brayed, under the nettles they were gathered together, which meaning they had no language and was doing whatever. The wild men. They were children of fools, yeah, children of base men, meaning the lowest form of men on the planet Earth. They were viler than the earth. Now, when you go up to the word viler, which is it's kind of self-explanatory, but now let's go to. I think. Let me see. It should know. It should be same as a regular English. No, not. I put viler. Vile. Morally repugnant. Morally flawed. Corrupt. What do you mean morally repugnant? Somebody that doesn't do what everybody else does. In other words, drinking clean water, that's a good thing. But if you drinking shitty water, just to drink shitty water, that's a bad thing. You don't take baths twice a year. You only take baths twice a year. What normal civilized people would take baths as much as they want during every day, twice a day. That's a good thing. But if you take it every so often or you're scared of water, that's a very bad thing. You stink. That's morally repugnant. All right. Let me see. Let me look this word up. Let me add to the equation. Repugnant. Meaning. No, what the hell? I hate when it does that. Repugnant. Extremely distasteful. Unacceptable. So even if you don't, is these set of people, their history shows you how distasteful and unacceptable they are. Okay, and here it is. They're on top of the food chain, so to speak. This is their rulership. Earth is given to the hand of the wicked, and they always needed to be rescued. Them leaving, quote unquote, Europe to come to this side, they didn't fix their problems. They ran from their problems, the problems that they caused. All right. So they are violent. They are fools. They don't believe in a higher power. Earth. It says Psalms 14:1. The fool has said in his heart, there is no God. So they are vile. All right. Let me go to the next one. I know, right? Oh, you know what? We keep going. It says, and now I am their song. Yeah, I am their byword. So you go back to the video. Oh, I hate when it does that. But when you go back to the thing, but the Aztecs, the Mayans, they were savages. The Caribs, the Arawaks, they were savages. The Cherokee, what was I? The Seminole, they were savages compared to you. Your history have shown how vile you are. Okay, so Job is like, now I'm their byword. You know, the scripture says, the Lord created man to be upright, except for whom? Esau. And it's not by just his looks, it's by his works. His works alone show he's not upright people. I have to get this one. Daniel 4:17. It says, this matter is by the decree of the watchers, and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know, meaning the prophets are telling the world whom run this show. All right, is Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahushai. That's who the creator of all things, who runs everything. It says, by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth to whom, so giving it to whomsoever he will, and set it upon it over its the basis of men. So the Lord used the lowest form of man out of all the nations that he created to set upon the rulership of this world. The earth is given to the hand of the wicked. All right. So now we know history. Everybody's seeing it. And if you have any doubters with all this Epstein shit that's happening, all this vile thing that's coming out, I gotta go to this. I'm gonna end it up on here. I didn't intend it to be this long, but it is what it is. It says right here, And this is a rhetorical question, and not meaning everybody knows. All right, everybody knows. This is not a hard to reach. This is not the who done it board game, and you got to find the clues. This is not that hard. It's right in your face. It's right in everybody's face. This is how you know the Lord has a sense of humor. Yahweh Bashem Yahushua is straight, direct. Okay? It tells you right here. Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. So the wicked is whom? The people that are violent in anything. Hands down, people that you don't want to be around. You see them, you run. Okay? You see them, automatic trouble. Nope, no good. Something bad is about to happen. It's not a blessing when these people come into the equation. Expect bad things to happen right away. That's why the Lord said what? It says the thief coming for, but to do what? To steal and to kill and to destroy. That's what thieves of this world would do. Hey, despite this technology and having certain things, and you know, like how can you speak that way? We have this, we have that, we got the cure for this, and you don't have no cure for nothing. They got just treatments. Treatments that they can make money off of. You know, all the inventions that they want to take credit for that was created by the people they had in servitude, and they stole their ideas. It says the earth is given to the hand of the wicked, and he covereth the faces of the judges thereof. Part of covering something is to do what? Hiding. You smear it. Matter of fact, let me see what it says here. Hebrew word is kasha, to cover, conceal, hide, right? Concealed, covered. So if it wasn't for the spur of the Lord and the internet, the Lord allowing the internet, we would not know nothing. We would assume everything that was being told was 100% truth. All right. But now, I said I was going to end it off on one thing, but hold on. Let me get this one real quick. I'll come back to this and we'll try to end it off with this one. Now, what's happening? What's really happening right now? What is the one agent that is doing a pretty darn good job? That one agent is called the truth. 2 Ezra 6:27. For evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched. As for faith, it shall flourish, corruption shall be overcome, and the truth, which have been so long without fruit, shall be declared. So the truth, what's the fruit? The receipt, all right? The historic fact that you even have those people in that side that's schooling. You can't run from the truth. That's the cleansing agent, all right? So he concealed the faces of the judges thereof. Who are the judges? The Most High, the Son of the Most High. All right. They conceal it. They hid it. How did they hide it? Because it was not given the fact how they actually look. There's no way, according to the scriptures, what the pictures that we grown accustomed to, that everybody believe, those are not backed up by the scriptures. All right. Hey, they talk about they want receipts, right? We need evidence, right? So where's the evidence that the Lord looked like that? Where's the evidence that the Heavenly Father and His Son were depicted like that? There's none. That just came out in the 1490s. All right. In a period that they call the Renaissance, which was what? The rebirth of whom? Of their empire. So before all that, they was in a dark state. And it was the darker races that was ruling. It said, if it's not these people, where and who is he? Is a rhetorical question. In other words, find me somebody else that fit this. Find me somebody else that does this, that did this. All right? That's what the scriptures is basically saying. So with that being said, shalom to the elect from the nation of Israel. It's right in your faces. Everything's coming out. Shalom.